Hello and welcome to the Columbia River High School Constitution Day contest for 2020. If you are watching this video, you are likely in a 10th, 11th, or 12th grade class, and your teacher is explaining this project to you. So my job, I'm Mr. Douglas, by the way, if you don't know, I'm a history teacher, mostly 11th grade. If you don't know me, my job is to explain this to you in a brief video and explain what's going to be happening with our yearly observance of Constitution Day. If you were here last year, you probably remember that in the years past we put posters up in the 600 wing, and the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders had different focuses for that contest, and then the winners got prizes at the end. So we are going to do the same thing this year with a few changes. So let me walk you through what those changes are. Okay, so let's do the basics here first. So Constitution Day, we're going to celebrate it on Thursday and Friday, which will be the 17th and 18th of September. You're going to work on your project and turn it in before that, on the Tuesday the 15th before that. So that's about 2 weeks or so away. Students are going to gain an appreciation for the role of the Constitution in shaping the course of American history over the past 233 years. Now, we've made some changes to the contest this year. So in the past, 10th graders made posters in groups that explained the articles of the Constitution. 11th graders did amendments to the Constitution, and the 12th graders did constitutional issues. However, 2020 is a very exciting year in a lot of ways. There's a lot going on that involves the Constitution, and we did not want to constrain students to the same degree as in the past. So here's what we're doing now. 10th graders, you are going to focus on a constitutional issue, and I'll talk a little more about what that is, but you're going to look from the beginning of the Constitution, which is 1780s, right? 1787, up to the end of the 19th century in 1899. So you're going to focus on any event, any issue that was addressed during that period of time. 11th graders are doing the same, but your time period is the 20th century, so from 1900 to 1999. And then 12th graders, you're going to focus on the year 2000 to the present. So those are your time periods, but the subject matter and what you can focus on is going to be entirely up to you. Okay, so here's your assignment. You're going to select a constitutional issue that you're interested in. So a constitutional issue is a disagreement about what the Constitution says in what is the reality for people living in the United States. The history of the U.S., and my history students are focusing on this as a theme this year, the history of the U.S. is in many ways a struggle to have American life match what is in the text of the Constitution. For example, the preamble of the Constitution says we the people of the United States in order to form a more perfect union and so on. But the we the people was written at a time when 18% of the people in the United States were enslaved and were not considered citizens with any rights, and half of the non-enslaved population were women who had very limited civil rights in the country at the time. So that we the people at the time it was written was not fully inclusive of everyone in the United States, but that is going to change over time. So if you wanted to focus on that, you might choose, for example, the issue of slavery, or you might choose the issue of women's equality, and you would focus on something that was happening, if you're a 10th grader, in this time period here of the 19th century, 11th grader in the 20th century, and 12th grader in the recent century, or the current century. So that gives a lot of opportunity for you to focus on anything you want, but historically you're going to have to go and see what was happening on the ground in the United States at that time. So here's what your project would look like. You're going to create a poster or graphic presentation that educates the audience, everybody in the school, about the following. And so you have A, B, C, then D and E here. So what is the issue and why was it important at the time you are examining it? So for example, slavery, if that's what your topic was going to be. Slavery existed in the United States from before the creation of the Constitution until 1865. It denied people of color born or forced into it their liberty and any civil rights. So that's your words, all right? So you phrase what the problem is and you state that in your project. So this person has done slavery as their issue. And because as I read ahead here as to what they're doing, what they're looking at, they're going to look at the 13th Amendment to the Constitution, which is going to outlaw slavery. So that is for a 10th grader would be appropriate because that's happening in 1865. If you wanted to focus on slavery or inequality, but you were an 11th grader or 12th grader, you'd have to look at not the 13th Amendment, but some other governmental action, some other court decision, Supreme Court decision that addressed that issue at that time. And I'll give you some examples on that in a minute. So this person is doing slavery, and it's stated what it is here. B, how is this contrary to the ideals of the Constitution as stated in the Declaration of Independence, preamble, or articles or amendments? Well, we just said, right? In 1860, nearly 4 million people were enslaved in the U.S., 12.5% of the population. Notice it's gone down since the time of when the Constitution was first written. The preamble to the Constitution states that the purpose of the government is to secure the blessings of liberty to we the people. Clearly, 12.5% of the people were not included. So it's a quick statement that shows why this is contrary to the principles of the Constitution, why it's a problem, why it's a disagreement. And then C, how is the issue addressed? We can see here that this person would include a statement that the 13th Amendment was ratified on December 6, 1865. This made slavery illegal in the United States. It's really as simple as that, right? And then D, how well did the action address the issue? And this is one of maybe perhaps the most important part of this project. Just because an action was taken, just because a law was passed, just because something was added to the Constitution, doesn't necessarily mean that the issue is over with, right? The 13th Amendment ended the institution of slavery and legally freed those held as slaves. It did not end inequality, and the amendment allowed for involuntary servitude of those convicted of crimes. And for those of you in 11th grade, we will talk much more about that when we get to the Civil War and Reconstruction eras. Okay, so how well? It's mixed, right? So it's not 100% fix the problem here. And then finally, a relevant quote from a contemporary and explanation. Contemporary means a person at that time. So, slavery is not abolished until the black man has the vote. So even though the 13th Amendment was passed in 1865, people of color still could not vote in the United States. So according to Frederick Douglass, that is a continuation of slavery at that point. So, it's a quote from that person there. And then an explanation. Douglass is saying that though slavery is legally abolished, black Americans would not be free or citizens until they could vote and hold office in government. So those are the requirements A through E. Okay, so your finished project then, once you do your research, once you find these things, once you decide you've got all the information you need to, how do you put it all together? Well, all of the elements that we just went through, A through E, must be present. The poster or graphic presentation will include an original central image. So a drawing, a painting, a collage, if you want to make that, something that you create that illustrates the issue. This is the same as in years past, too. A title that states the issue and time period. So someone should just look at it and know, okay, this is slavery, 19th century, right? Or this is women's equality, 20th century. Whatever it is, it should be really clear in the title. Your name, the grade, and your teacher needs to be in the project as well. And then everything else above there needs to have a place on your presentation. So here are the options. So in the past, it's always been a poster on, I think it was 9 by 17 paper or 13 by 17 paper. Much more open-ended now. So you've got some choices here. You can make a poster, hand-drawn if you want, and take a picture of it and submit that picture if you'd like to. You can do a chalk drawing on your driveway. You can do this outside if you want. And actually, if you wanted to, you could put it out, lay it out in your driveway, include images that you printed out and put out there too, and you have some fun with that, and just take the picture because the audience can zoom in and look at those things that you've created. You could do this all online. You could use Google Sites and create a website that has all this in there, and your teacher can help you with that. You can perform or record a puppet show for your siblings. So as long as all those elements are in there, you can do this as a live performance. And perhaps there's something else you'd like to do that you want to talk to your teacher about. So all of those are fine. In addition, whatever one of these things you choose, you also must include on a separate piece of paper a detailed paragraph that summarizes your information, that explains what it is you're doing, and then a bibliography with a minimum of 3 sources. And the sources could be, encyclopedia sources online that you got, where you got your image, where you got that quote from, all those things. Just let your teacher know where this information comes from in MLA format. All right, and then the rubric for this presentation or poster, or however it is you turn it in, it's a 50-point assignment, and the rubric is fairly simple and straightforward here for what constitutes an A, a B, and a C here in these categories: graphic images, the content, and the quality of the work. And then finally, to show you some examples, right? So if you're going to do the poster in the traditional way on paper and pen, just make sure you have all of your elements that are there, so when you take the picture of it, it can all be seen. If you're going to do the chalk drawing idea, which I think would be really cool, just make sure that it's legible, right? And it'd be okay too if you wanted to do a part, maybe your illustration is the chalk art, and then you print out other information and lay that on the sidewalk next to it and take a picture. As long as it's legible, that's going to be fine. And then if you decide to do the Google Sites version here, your teacher can help you find that, but you can lay it out in any format you want, as long as that title is up there and your explanations and information are all present there as well. And then another option you could do is if you wanted to do your a larger, like a trifold poster or whatever, and display it out in front of your house or on the driveway, you can do that too, and just take a picture of that and submit that. Okay, and the puppet show, I didn't know how to draw, so I just wrote puppet show, but you get the idea. Okay, and then finally, there are prizes, just as in years past. So for each grade level, 10, 11, and 12, the first place prize will be a $30 Amazon card, which will be mailed to you. Second place will be $21 Starbucks, which will be mailed to you as well. And the third place prize is a surprise that your teacher will explain to you later. So that's it. If you have any other questions, your teacher will take it from here. But good luck. Looking forward to seeing everybody's work on Constitution Day. All right.